Everybody is getting yeah. All right, so we get settled in. Thank you so much, Chairman Mendez. Good morning. I'm Kirk Haynes. I'm your Chief Probation Officer for Fresno County. I'm here with Deputy Chief Vicki Noel and staff from the Probation Department's James Rowland Crime Victims Assistance Center, affectionately known as CVAC. And we are here and honored to join you today in recognition of the 2025 National Crime Victims' Rights Week. Gratitude, Chairman Mendez, for sponsoring today's proclamation. Your board's dedication and support for victims of crime and our victim advocates has been nothing short of remarkable. So we just want to say thank you for that. This year's theme is kinship, connecting, and healing. It resonates deeply with all of us who work tirelessly to support victims of crime. It is a reminder that our collective efforts as a community to support the most vulnerable are essential for the healing process. It emphasizes the importance of connecting survivors to the services and the rights that they are entitled to, and the profound impact these connections have made on their journey to recovery. I'd also like to acknowledge the hard work and the dedication of the team here at CVAC under the leadership of Assistant Deputy Chief Karen Roach. The center has become a beacon of hope for victims of violent crime in Fresno County. The victim advocates and the probation officers at the CVAC, many of whom are present here today, they work tirelessly and with unwavering compassion to ensure that victims receive the support they need. And I don't get a chance to say it enough, but their efforts are truly, truly commendable. And just for some data, in 2024 alone, CVAC served over 8,000 crime victims, completing 88 outreach presentations. They assisted 1,900 crime victims in completing victim impact statements, ensuring that their voices are considered at sentencing hearings in Fresno County courts. They also assisted 1,850 victims complete victim compensation benefit applications. Finally, I'd also like to recognize the probation officer, Christy Sanchez, and I'm sure she's happy that I mentioned her name today, and all of our probation officers who work hard to collect victim restitution in the county. Since 2018, over $250,000 in victim restitution has been collected, ensuring that victims receive the justice that they deserve. These numbers are a testament to the hard work and dedication of the CVAC team. Their work highlights the importance of their continued support for this vital service. Your support of the National Crime Victims' Rights Week serves as a powerful reminder to the county the importance of our work and the critical role that we all play in supporting victims of crime. Together, we can continue to build a community where kinship, connection, and healing are at the forefront of our efforts. Thank you once again for your unwavering support and your recognition of this important week. Your commitment to justice and healing for the victims of crime inspires all of us to continue our work with renewed vigor and dedication. I thank you very so much. And now I'm going to ask Assistant Deputy Chief Karen Roach to come up, and she's going to share our plans for tonight's Crime Victims Memorial Quilt dedication.
Excellent. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Board. I'm honored to be here today. My name is Karen Roach, Assistant Deputy Chief Probation Officer, overseeing the Crime Victim Assistance Center, the county's designated victim witness program. I'm honored to be here today for this proclamation alongside some of the staff that work at the Crime Victim Assistance Center, who have all dedicated their professional careers to providing critical services to the citizens of Fresno County who have been touched by crime. We're talking about homicide, sexual assault, elder abuse, human trafficking, domestic violence, vehicle crimes, to name just a few. Victim advocacy is an essential component of the criminal justice system, oftentimes occurring away from the public eye. They all work tirelessly to uphold victims' rights, provide specialized services that are tailored to each victim's needs, treating each victim with the care and compassion they deserve, and assisting and supporting them throughout their healing process. If any of you find yourself, a loved one, or a friend in need of our services, rest assured they will be taken care of. As Chief mentioned, in recognition of National Crime Victims' Rights Week, tonight at 6 p.m. at the Plaza Ballroom, we will unveil and dedicate the 2025 Crime Victims Memorial Quilt. This year, we will be dedicating and displaying 9 new patches, and 9 new patches means 9 new citizens of Fresno County who lost their life to violent crime. We started the Memorial Quilt in 1994 Like I mentioned, it's comprised of individual quilt squares representing a victim who lost their life to violent crime. You have all been invited to attend tonight and support those that are going to be there. Thank you again for recognizing the essential work that is being done on behalf of crime victims and survivors in Fresno County.
Thank you. We're available for any questions if you have any, Chairman.
Is there any public comment on this item before we address it? I see none behind you, so I make a motion to, accept this proclamation.
Second.
I got a second. All in favor, so we're saying aye.
Aye.
Please, all you guys come up.
Take a picture.
Two rows, so some of you that are a little, shall we say, height challenged, have to accept the fact you need
Of course.
Try to stand at an angle.
Miss, I didn't shake my councilman's hand.
We now move to item number 5 under Supervisor Bredefield, proclaim April 2025 as Fair Housing Act Month in the County of Fresno.
Okay, Supervisor.
Okay, thank you. Is Kyle Cheney here? Hi, Kyle. Yes, this is Fair Housing Act Month in the County of Fresno. Kyle's with the Fresno Association of Realtors, who will be accepting the proclamation. Kyle's worked in real estate for 20 years and serves as the Government Affairs Director of the Fresno Association of Realtors. He's deeply engaged in protecting and promoting home ownership opportunities for all through advocacy and community partnerships. As a former sales manager, he's passionate about equipping realtors to better serve the many needs of their clients. So I toss it to you, Kyle.
Great. Thank you, Supervisor Bredefield. Thank you to the board for allowing us to come here and recognizing April as Fair Housing Month for our community. So I'd also like to introduce Joe Haydock and Sonia White. They are the chairs of our Fair Housing Diversity committees, and they are very influential as well as very engaged in really working on advocacy for fair housing and making sure that people are ambassadors within our community and our profession. So I'd like to read the proclamation that you guys so generously are supporting and then have them say a few words. Whereas the Fair Housing Act, enacted on April 11th, 1968, established the goal of eliminating racial segregation and addressing housing discrimination in the United States, and whereas the Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, sex, family status, national origin, and disability, and requires recipients of federal funding to take active steps to promote fair housing within the communities. And whereas the Fresno County Board of Supervisors is committed to fulfilling the intent of Congress to ensure all individuals have equal access to housing opportunities, and whereas communities thrive and individuals from all backgrounds live and work together, contributing to a stronger economy, better health, and healthier environment. And whereas the continued progress made since the passage of the Fair Housing Act serves as a foundation for building more vibrant and connected communities across the nation. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Fresno County Board of Supervisors does hereby proclaim the month of April 25th as Fair Housing Act Month and reaffirms its continued effort to addressing barriers and promoting policies that ensure everyone has equal opportunities to accessing safe and affordable housing. And with that, I'd like to invite Joe and Sonia to say a few words.
Hello, I'm Joe Haydock, along with my brilliant friend Sonia White. We are the co-chairs of the Fresno Association of Realtors Fair Housing and Diversity Committee. We want to thank the County Board of Supervisors for recognizing the importance of fair housing this month. Fair housing laws and practices are designed to promote equitable home ownership, opportunities among all people, regardless of race, ethnicity, country of origin, religion, gender, disability, sexual orientation, marital status, veteran status, or family status. Fair housing laws and practices also exist to remedy historical discriminatory practices that continue to negatively impact marginalized groups in the United States, in California, and in Fresno County. The Fresno Association of Realtors is committed to promoting fair housing and advocating for home ownership throughout Fresno County and the surrounding region.
Good morning. In 2025, the Fresno Association of Realtors is working with local organizations to train 25 Fresno Fair Housing ambassadors. These ambassadors will educate about the local causes and consequences of housing discrimination, and we will learn about the cures for housing discrimination. With an advanced knowledge of fair housing rules and practices, our Fresno Fair Housing ambassadors will celebrate the diverse communities of Fresno County and will advocate for fair housing practices as we work together to create a community of homeowners in fulfillment of the American promise and the American dream. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I guess I'll pass it to you, Chairman.
Yeah, any questions from the board before I ask for public comment? I see no public comment. Do you want to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve.
Okay, thank you. Second. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, once you come up.
We now move to item number 6 under Supervisor Magsack, proclaim April 7th through the 13th, 2025 as National Public Health Week in County of Fresno.
And we have representatives, sorry, Mr.
I
Chairman.
was going to say the floor is yours.
I was reading your mind. So we have representatives from the Department of Public Health here, and, all 5 supervisors up here recognize how important it is to live a healthy lifestyle. And I can say that I'm constantly chasing after my colleagues. So this morning I did a nice 50-mile bike ride just so I could be in shape to keep up with all of them this morning. So with that, the floor is yours, David.
Always showing us. Thank you, Supervisor Magsack, and thank you for sponsoring our item. David Lucchini, Director of Public Health. So National Public Health Week, what is it? It's that time of the year when we focus on 2 things. We recognize the work of all the agencies, organizations, healthcare providers, and educators doing their part to promote, protect, and preserve the health of our communities. And we also want to highlight important health issues affecting our county, state, and nation. This year marks the 30th anniversary of Public Health Week. The 25 theme is It Starts Here. It circles back to the notion that a healthy Fresno County starts with all residents making a difference in their homes and communities. The Fresno County Department of Public Health plays a pivotal role in laying the foundation for fostering a culture of health where all Fresno County residents have opportunities to achieve their highest level of health. Some of the daily themes this year include championing resilience for health, optimizing health for all, amplifying voices for public health, and the future of public health starts here. Some of the highlights this past year from our department, and I'll go very quickly, but there's some significant highlights. We had the botulism outbreak, and we identified the source. That was a multi-division response, including our community health division, our lab, and our environmental health division. And I know I'm missing some divisions on that one. H5N1, another multi-division response. The measles cases. We had the rabies event, the community health worker network, home visitation programs that also include public health nurses improving the maternal and infant health outcomes, and many, many more. A heartfelt thank you to all our 400-plus dedicated employees in public health whose tireless work, both behind the scenes and on the front lines, helps keep Fresno County safe and healthy. I deeply appreciate their unwavering commitment and outstanding service to our community. Recent decisions at the federal level may impact the department's capacity to provide necessary and critical services to the community, but we still remain committed to advocating for the resources needed to protect public health in Fresno County. That I want to apologize, Dr. Vore and Dr. Solis were both unavailable, and our other division managers are all spread thin, working on a lot of issues, as you can imagine, with some of the budget stuff. But we got our small and Dan's going to join us too. All right. And for this great acknowledgement from the board.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Just want to publicly thank our directors, Lucchini and Prado. We had a meeting with some of the organizations that are providing a lot of this great work in the community. And obviously, you all showed up, brought your A game, but I don't think a lot of residents know exactly what we've done here in Fresno County. It's the first of its kind. This public health care data tracking system that I think is going to be very unique, but more importantly, it's going to help us give indicators as to what areas need resources and medical services. And I really want to just congratulate you on the work you guys have been doing. You spoke very well that evening, and I'm looking forward to working with you guys on bolstering and augmenting that for our residents. So thank you.
The other, no, you guys are, I think, even though we're probably the biggest county in the San Joaquin Valley, you guys probably do the best job, so I always appreciate it. You're very respected by all the other counties. Anyway, is there any public comment on this? Hearing none.
I'll move for approval of the resolution.
Okay, got a second. All in favor, so by saying aye. Aye. Go ahead.
We now move to item number 7 under Supervisor Pacheco and Supervisor Chavez. Proclaim April 11th through the 17th, 2025 as Black Maternal Health Week in County of Fresno.
Okay, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's my pleasure, along with Supervisor Chavez, the back cleanup today. We are going to proclaim April 11th through 17th as Black Maternal Health Week in Fresno County. This proclamation brings awareness to our community about the benefits and importance of healthy mothers and babies and the ways in which we can work together to achieve healthy starts for everyone. Here today to accept the proclamation is Shante Davis-Bulch on behalf of the Black Wellness and Prosperity Center and Karen Rangel on behalf of First Five as well as other community representatives. Floor is yours.
Good morning. Hi, good morning. My name is Holly Jenkins. I work with Black Wellness and Prosperity Center, and it's so nice to be here today. And I just wanted to tell you that I am a community health worker and a lactation educator. Thank you, Board of Supervisors, for hearing us. Also, I want to let you know, I also want to take time to thank all of our partners, Cultural Brokers Incorporated, First Five, Dr. Curry, Black Infant Health, and our long-term partnerships for the continual partnership, long-term commitment for the continued partnership. Apologize. Black Wellness and Prosperity Center, BWPC, is Fresno's first community-based organization unapologetically educated to improving Black maternal and infant health outcomes in Fresno County and beyond. We do this by building strong partnerships with stakeholders, uplifting and uniting Black voices, and creating sustainable infrastructure to strengthen Black capacity. Our work is both intentional and systematic. We invest in the holistic health and well-being of the community to ensure every Black family receives the support they need and deserve to thrive. BWPC and Vision Center, Black Mothers and Babies, we prioritize the Black community because we know that they are disproportionately impacted by social, economic, and health inequities. Structural and institutional barriers of health equity still exist. Every day, our team, especially our doulas and community health workers, work tirelessly to reduce these barriers by expanding access to care and advocate for the voices of the Black and BIPOC community members. We collaborate with healthcare providers and health education resources, offer community trainings, the safe sleep and car safety, and doula training and pregnancy care support. Evidence-based maternal and child health care initiatives like Black Doula Network and CHWs are part of the solution. We cannot do this work alone. We need more support, everyone's support. We have a vision, we have the leadership, and the community's trust. What we need now is a stable partnerships and sustainable funding to continue this work and scale our impact. On this week, on behalf of BWPC and our partners, we invite you and everyone to come to join us at Black Maternal Week and our health fair and our Jubilee to learn more about the needs of the community and how you can be a part of the solution. Thank you so much.
Good morning, and thank you, Board of Supervisors. I'm Karen Rangel with First 5 Fresno County, where we focus on the first 5 years of life. We know that children develop in the context of their families and the communities that support them, which starts long before birth. When moms receive high-quality, respectful, and accessible prenatal care and support, babies and families are supported to thrive. Everyone can play a role in preventing pregnancy-related deaths and improving maternal and child health outcomes. We are proud to stand alongside our partners here to accept this proclamation. Thank you, Supervisor Pacheco and Supervisor Chavez, for sponsoring, and thank you to the entire board for commemorating the importance of this week.
Good morning. My name is Nia Hodge. I am a BWPC Advisory Council, part of the council. I'm a mother, a grandmother, and a community advocate. I want to thank the Board of Supervisors for always allocating funds to support healthy moms, babies in Fresno County, and a special thanks to Pacheco for his leadership and support for healthy birth outcomes. Honoring mothers, their sacrifices, and demanding justice for their legacies. Confronting the crisis, Black women are 3 to 4 times more likely to die from pregnancy-related complications than white women, a statistic that speaks to centuries of medical racism, neglect, and structural inequity. This week is about calling attention to that, to disparities that persist and amplify the solutions rooted in our communities, led by us for us. Our bodies are not battlegrounds. They are sacred vessels of life, history, and resilience. The knowledge of Black midwives, doulas, healers, birth workers has long guided our communities, often in silence. This week, we amplify that wisdom. Invest in our healing and protect our right to safe and joyful birthing experiences. As I said before, I'm a mother, grandmother, and also a community advocate. I am the mother of a 26-year-old who was 9 months pregnant and lost her and her daughter. So finally, we speak their names, honoring those who lost their lives while trying to bring forth life in honor of Alanique Jackson Webb and baby Ricky Webb. May their memory be a call to action and a light to guide us forward. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just wanted to publicly thank the organizations that are doing great work in our community, particularly our first 5 folks that have been doing a lot of great work and publicly also thank Supervisor Pacheco for your leadership on First Five. That initiative that specifically serves our African-American population has been godsend. We know that there's still gaps in services for our folks, particularly in certain zip codes. But it's the work that you all do on a daily basis that's going to reduce that and get us to a place where we need to be. So thank you with that. And then Supervisor Pacheco, if you want to make a motion.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I would make the motion to accept the proclamation.
Okay.
Second.
You gonna second it? Is there any public comment? Hearing none, all in favor is going to say an aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank you. Once you guys come up.
At this time, we will take up the item that was pulled from our consent calendar this morning from Supervisor Bredefield, item 33, under Public Health. Approve and authorize the chairman to execute the California Enhanced HIV/AIDS Case Reporting System Data Use and Disclosure Agreement with the California Department of Public Health for the exchange of HIV/AIDS Case Reporting System data effective upon execution by the state.
Oh, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, just a quick question. On the indemnification, again, just wanted to ask you, the state is not indemnifying the county is indemnifying the state. We brought this up last time, and then I think you met or talked with the state, and the state then did indemnify the county. Is that correct?
On that one, which is related to the lab, if I recall. So on this one, our staff was pushing for that, the language. The state came back with saying it's going to take too long, time constraints. They were worried about disrupting the data, so they asked us to see if we could approve it. So I would hope we could, this is my request.
Yes.
If we could approve it. At the same time, if you want to give direction to me to work in conjunction with the CAO's office to escalate at CDPH, California Department of Public Health leaders, to say Fresno County needs to have these languages in contracts.
Okay, I'm comfortable with that, as
that
long as
fair?
that's the direction
No.
that we move towards.
Oh, no, we asked, we heard. Okay. We heard.
Good, okay, I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. Got a second? Is there any public comment on this item? Hearing none, all in favor is going to say an aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Thank you.
We now move to item number 8, under Supervisor Bredefield and Supervisor Magsic. Conduct first hearing to amend the Fresno County Ordinance Title 6 to add Chapter 6.27, illegal possession or transportation of commercial copper wire. Waive reading of the ordinance in its entirety and set the second hearing for April 22nd, 2025. Designate County Council to present a fair and adequate summary of the proposed ordinance and direct the clerk of the board to post and publish the required summary in accordance with Government Code Section 25124B1.
Okay, who's the presenter here?
I'll start it and kick it off, and then Supervisor Magzig will have comments, and I know there are people here who would like to speak on it. Today, I'm introducing this ordinance with Supervisor Magzig that will crack down on the rampant and costly crime of copper wire and metal theft. Now, this is not just a nuisance crime, it's a serious issue that has caused millions of dollars in damage to businesses, farms, and critical infrastructure across Fresno County. It's important that we take decisive action to hold these criminals accountable and protect our communities. Commercial agriculture is vital to the economy of Fresno County. Businesses engaged in commercial agriculture rely upon infrastructure such as energy transmission, telecommunication lines to operate. These transmission and telecommunication lines are often made of copper or aluminum, which can be sold to scrap metal or wire to recyclers or junk dealers. Although these materials are far more valuable when used for their intended purpose, thieves continue to target them for quick profit. This theft renders critical infrastructure inoperable. I've heard directly from farmers, business owners, and other victims of these thefts who are desperate for help. They've reached out to me, frustrated and fed up after having their irrigation systems stripped, their equipment vandalized, and their power supplies tampered with. The rural nature of agriculture makes these businesses particularly vulnerable to metal thieves. In 2023 alone, copper wire theft inflicted over $3 million in damage to commercial operations in Fresno County. These crimes do not just cost money, they impact livelihoods, disrupt food production, and threaten public safety. This ordinance is a direct response to these concerns. It specifically prohibits receipt, possession, and transportation of commercial-grade scrap metal, stripped commercial-grade wire, and prohibits stripping of commercial-grade copper wire. To be very clear, this does not in any way affect law-abiding recyclers, contractors, or agricultural businesses using copper wire for its intended purpose. This is solely aimed at those who steal and illegally possess stripped copper wire or commercial-grade metal. Those in violation of this ordinance will face serious consequences, fines of up to $1,000 and potential jail time of 6 months. We will no longer tolerate criminals profiting off the destruction of the infrastructure and livelihoods. I want to particularly thank the Fresno County Sheriff's Office and the City of Fresno for working with us on this issue. Copper wire thieves don't care about jurisdictional lines, and neither should our enforcement. We need strong, uniform laws to ensure criminals can't evade consequences by simply moving from one area to the other. This ordinance is an important step toward achieving that goal. I want to thank my co-sponsor, Supervisor Nathan Magzik, for his tremendous work on the ordinance. I want to thank all the people involved in the work group that helped shape this ordinance, including Sheriff John Zanoni, Detective Isaac Torres, Sergeant John Wages of the Ag Crime Task Force, CAO Paul Nerlin and his staff, Sam Buck and Fine Nye, County Counsel and his staff, and lawyers from the District Attorney's Office. I also want to recognize the strong partnership between the county and the City of Fresno, specifically Mayor Jerry Dyer, Council President Mike Carbasi, Council members Tyler Maxwell and Annalisa Perea, and the City Attorney. Both the county and the City of Fresno have worked together to crack down on this issue, and I'm sure there'll be many more issues we'll work with together on. I greatly appreciate the board considering this ordinance today. Supervisor Magzik?
Yeah, I'll just note that this is something that's been worked on for actually months, and I appreciate County Counsel's office and how we.
I think the word is years.
Yeah, years even. Yes, absolutely. One of the challenges, though, is finding an ordinance that focuses enough on individuals who are committing these crimes, and again, making sure that there is absolutely no targeting of the recyclers, because the state, of course, has laws in place that regulate that function. So with this possession and transportation ordinance, we believe it does just that. And so really appreciate the staff in County Counsel's office that was able to zero in on an ordinance that is going to be effective for the sheriff and for the representatives from the sheriff's office who participated in numerous meetings, just sharing with us the challenges that they're facing and what they're having to deal with. And with that came the ordinance that we have before us today. So Supervisor Bredefeld, I think you summed everything else up. So with that, I'm prepared to answer any questions or go out to public, whatever the chairman chooses.
So there's going to be no presenter? You're the presenter?
Unless I think the sheriff is going to has something that he wants to say.
Good morning, members of the board and Chairman Mendez. My voice is a little off today, but I am here. I do want to thank Supervisors Bredefeld and Magsig for bringing this forward. I think this is a very important tool for our deputies to have when they're out there conducting enforcement within the county of Fresno. It's another tool in our toolbox. And I think we've heard it too many times that there's so many victims from theft from various types of wire, whether it's our farmers, whether it's the telecommunication industry, and even the building industry, where individuals are going out, they're stealing and stripping this wire, and then they're turning around and selling it for anywhere from $3 to $4 a pound, while leaving our victims, which are our farmers, our builders, and our telecommunications folks, with thousands and maybe even tens of thousands of dollars worth of repairs for a measly 40 or 50 bucks worth of wire. So this is something that I believe will help with that. As you can see behind me, Bozzy, who's right here with some of his friends, who farm with him out on the east side in Supervisor Magsig and Supervisor Mendez's districts, held a meeting the other day, and I was personally able to talk to many of those farmers who are seeing this repetitive problem. And hopefully what we can do with this new ordinance is we can target those 20 people or so that are probably committing 80% of these thefts and causing these issues. On my right, you see all the members of our Ag Task Force that are here because they feel very strongly about this and they want to do better to help protect the residents of Fresno County and our farmers and their economic interest. And this ordinance will help with that. What I do want to say is that many times our detectives and our deputies are contacting people. They know that this individual, whether it be tools, whether it be wire, they know that they are illegally possessing it. They know that this is stolen property. The challenge that we have is being able to prove it. Many times we have to just photograph it, conduct an FI, and walk away. In this case, we'll actually be able to seize the copper wire. They'll either be cited or they'll be arrested and have to face some sort of fine. Eventually, the individuals that commit these crimes over and over will hopefully have to face some significant prosecution when these cases start, compounding or adding up. But this is a step in the right direction, and it's something I feel that people in Fresno County deserve. They're tired of being victimized, and we can take a step here today by approving this ordinance to help them and stop the victimization and hold criminals accountable. If anybody has any questions, I'll take them at this time.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Sheriff, for that. I want to thank the sponsors of this item, Supervisor Bredefeld and Magda, for working on an issue. I think yourself and myself, Supervisor Bredefeld, have dealt with this over at the city. I think we even went as far as a couple of years as trying to cement a couple of the wires from getting stolen in the city as well. But my question's for the law enforcement aspect of this and for the benefit of the public. What exactly would we be able to do now with this ordinance if it was in place that we can't do now?
Well, many times when you see these individuals that are leaving different areas and they're transporting this wire that's been stripped, there's not a whole lot we can do if we can't prove that it's stolen, if we can't prove where it came from, if we don't have a victim, if we don't have some information. So this will give us the opportunity to seize that wire and to enforce the new county ordinance if in fact you vote upon it today. I believe in many cases it's also going to send a message to the criminals that if you're in possession of this amount of wire, that it is going to be a serious consequence. You're not just going to be let on down the road so you can go recycle it. I think typically now if we do not take them into custody, if we do not take the wire, they go to a copper recycling yard, and I believe they have to show their ID, and then the wire stays there for 3 days. If nobody claims it or we can't prove that it's stolen, then in 3 days or 72 hours, they can come back and get paid for it. Is that's accurate? So this is going to give us another tool to help stop this.
And then what's the amount, the threshold that they would
This is going to be 10 pounds or more.
10 pounds.
And I think it's also key that we pass this today. In my conversation in the back with Council President Carbasi, on Thursday, they are taking a similar ordinance to the City Council to pass. And I think it's important that we work together, because if not, we'll see the jurisdictional where people will realize that, I can get away with this in the county because the city's enforcing it. And I think it's very important that we collaborate and work together and have a united front in the enforcement of this type of ordinance or this type of law.
No, absolutely. And I think Supervisor Bredefeld is right. The residents of Fig Garden or Mayfair or Callaway don't distinguish, they're all residents. I'm trying to kind of hone in a little bit on the enforcement piece. So for folks that are the habitual offenders that I think our law enforcement folks know, I think Sheriff, you mentioned there's about 20 or so folks that do this on a regular basis.
Well, we were saying like maybe in one area, you got 20% or 20 people that commit about 80% of the crime. So targeting those individuals is very important.
So this would be one infraction of that enforcement, but is there another penalty for the amount that they're carrying? 10 pounds being the minimum, but say, for example, they have 100 pounds or 200 pounds. Does that qualify for the threshold now for that kind of implicates state law with regards to the prosecution of this case?
I don't believe so, but I could have Sergeant Wages answer that. The answer is no.
No.
Yeah, the answer is no.
And the challenge is like when these folks take the wire, you think you hit the nail on the head, Sheriff. It might be $80 or $100, but the damage that they do to the equipment, it's upwards of thousands and thousands of dollars. We've had in our community centers folks that strip the wires from the HVAC systems, and now an HVAC system is $8,000 as opposed to the small fee that they get for that. But this doesn't address any of that. That's a separate matter. This is just the transportation and possession of this.
Well, it's the possession of it, where they steal it. That's been the challenge, is like, you're just talking about an HVAC system where the copper wire is stolen from, Supervisor Chavez. Well, maybe this time of year, nobody's using their HVAC system, so nobody knows. The individual goes and recycles it. We don't make it within 3-day or 72-hour period. They get their money, they're on down the road. So this is going to be, I believe, somewhat of a deterrent as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's important, like I said, to have the tool in the toolbox. So right now, the dam's got a bunch of holes in it, and this is going to help plug a few holes. Another thing that we're working on, which is a side issue from this, is the sticker program or the sign program. We worked with Crime Stoppers to get some funding. We'll have stickers and signs out that people can put out at pump sites or different locations to let people know that the wire has been replaced. It's no longer copper, it's aluminum. Therefore, it has a much lower value, and that will hopefully discourage or dissuade people from wanting to commit these crimes, because it's not just the loss of the wire. It's like you said, it's the $8,000, it's the $10,000, it's the farmer who can't get his pump on or her pump on to water the field and things like that. We've got to do something. Is this going to fix everything? No, but this is a step in the right direction, and it sends a message to the criminals that, hey, if you're caught with this, you're going to be held accountable.
Might be a good idea for some of those folks to invest in electrified fence. We've done that at the city, but that's another conversation. No, I thank you to my colleagues for bringing this forward, and thank you to our city Council President Carbasi. I know you've been the forefront with our folks over at the city, so I'm going to be supportive of this, but I would like to see more conversations too on the enforcement piece. I think we really do need to go after these folks. It's been a problem for a long time.
Well, I think Ryan Jacobson's here, and you see some farmers here. I see Manuel Cunha came in. I think people are fed up with this.
Got two farmers up here.
What's that?
Two farmers
I know. But you guys have to be here. They came because they want to support this.
I will see your two farmers and raise you. Thank you, Sheriff.
You're welcome.
Sheriff, I got a question along those lines. Again, as Supervisor Mendez said, as a farmer, we see this first and foremost, and believe both of us have been victims of this. My concern with this today is, aren't these laws, aren't they preempted by state law? Isn't that an issue that we may see, and is why, in what I have heard, not spoken directly with her, but that the district attorney has some, I would say, consternation with this? Again, I like another tool in the toolbox, but if our chief law enforcement officer of the county doesn't feel that she has the capability to enforce this, is it really helping us? And did I hear you right, in addition, that now we only have 3 days from when they take it to do something? Does this ordinance give you a longer period of time because you're going to physically take possession of this wire?
Well, we're physically going to take possession of it because they're in violation of the ordinance. I do understand District Attorney Lisa Smitkamp's point of view, but until the Attorney General gives us a ruling on this as to some constitutionality of the law, I believe we've met the requirement. Now, there is a way that we could reduce and mitigate liability for the county in this situation, and that would be to issue citations and take the wire and not book them into the jail. Then we're not physically taking custody of them. And then because if something happened to them while they're in custody and the law was later ruled that it was unlawful or unconstitutional, that would be liability that we as a county would own. So by the citation process, we could avoid a lot of that, and we would still get the desired same effect and recovering the actual wire. The other thing that we can look at as well is that many times when we're arresting individuals, there's not just this violation. They're on PRCS, they're on parole. There's some other stolen property component under the actual penal code that we're arresting them for. In that case, if they were going to jail anyway, I would add this ordinance on their jail booking sheet as just another charge.
So that's how you plan on, for lack of a better term, getting around what the current laws are, is these are going to be citations, and you're not arresting people. You're simply going to cite them, and then they'll continue on their way, but you're going to take possession of what they have.
That is
that a
an
key
option.
component?
That is an option we could utilize if there was some concern about what the Attorney General's opinion on this is going to be. Obviously, everybody has a different opinion. I think our opinion at the Sheriff's Office is something that we need. I believe in talking to our friends at the city and the city attorney. He seems like he's behind this and feels that it's a good law to stand on, as is why they are bringing it to their city council on Thursday. You know, it takes a little bit of courage. We have to take a little bit of a risk here if we want to mitigate that risk by issuing citations when people only violate this ordinance. That is something that we can work out at the sheriff's office and make happen, if that would make you feel more comfortable until the Attorney General has had an opportunity to vet and look at this new ordinance that we've put into place.
So to the two authors of this ordinance, was that procedure, did you ask or send a memo to the Attorney General's office to weigh in on this?
Let me address your issue. This came up certainly as an issue of, is there an exemption to this? And in talking with county council and the city attorney, and certainly hearing the feedback from the DA attorneys that were there, we focused on the possession aspect of this, which we believe does not preclude exemption. And the county council can address it. I mean, he certainly, as Supervisor Magzig asked him many times, is this defensible in terms of what we're doing? And I think the answer is yes. So we can continue at the county often to do nothing and say, come up with reasons why we don't address the concerns of the farmers and the business people who are being victimized every day, and you know that as farmers, and twist in the wind and clutch our pearls and do nothing in terms of fear of what an attorney general might say. Or we can take the bull by the horns, show leadership, step up, find a way to enact an ordinance that will help law enforcement do their jobs and prevent people from continuing to be victimized. I prefer to do the latter than clutch pearls and worry about what an attorney general is going to say or not say, particularly since an attorney general typically is very pro-criminal rather than pro-victim. And so we were very careful in enacting this ordinance to take away from the part about the exemption and the concerns that the DA and her staff had. Understandable, I understand the concern, I'm not minimizing them, but I think we've done that. And I think we did our homework, and that's why I encourage this board to move forward, and let's address what we need to address for the people we represent. And Supervisor Magson.
Yeah, a couple things I want to point out. So with this ordinance, it's not just a criminal ordinance, it's a civil and criminal ordinance. And so we have the ability to hit an individual with civil penalties, which start at 500 and move their way up to 1,000. But also there's the misdemeanor component to this that they can be charged with, which it's up to the district attorney if they want to file that. But one thing during the meetings, which really opened my eyes about the importance of this particular ordinance is when the deputies are contacting individuals that have possession of large amounts of wire, these individuals have other warrants. And so typically, this ordinance is going to allow them to not only seize that material from them, but take a look at the warrants that they have that are outstanding. And when the arrest is made, I don't see a whole lot of arrests where someone is being arrested for violating just this ordinance. But this gives us an opportunity to hit them with a civil penalty, potentially a misdemeanor, but they're going to have a whole host of other issues they're going to be written up for and taken down to the jail. So the goal is to reduce dramatically the amount of theft that's taking place. And based upon the research and what I've looked at, what the sheriff has shared with us, we believe this is the right tool in the toolbox.
Okay. You know, unfortunately, this problem's been around for a long time. I think when you say 20 years, Isaac, for the whole time you've been a sheriff and the whole time you've been in ag task force, this has been a problem. I mean, it's gotten to the point where farmers have to harden everything they have. So if you have to work on some electrical in the box, and there's a whole bunch of stuff you have to take apart in order to get to it, which that's the reason it's, you know, criminals are lazy. They'll hit the easy stuff, but they'll do some amazing things sometimes. We were talking, 5, 10,000. I've known of some deals that were in the 20s because of distant wires that were underground, that they literally got equipment to pull them out in the middle of the night. But the unfortunate thing is this is a state problem, and the state, I think Gary kind of hit on it, but, I call them the Supreme Soviet in Sacramento. They love criminals because this is a problem that's been hanging around for years and years, and they've done nothing. And there's groups of assemblymen and state senators that just refuse to deal with this stuff when others introduce bills to tighten this up and finally get this cured. This is not a cure-all. I think it's a half-hearted, but better, like Gary said, better than doing nothing. And that's basically what we got here, because we're shackled by these crazy people in Sacramento from actually dealing with this, because this problem has been around for years. So that's what I got to say. Is there any?
Mr. Chairman, I would just add to that too. I believe that's the purpose of my comments. Realistically, this requires a legislative fix, not a county ordinance. And again, I understand your point, Supervisor Bredefield, about wanting to do something. Generally, when we have done that and we go with that, as Supervisor Magsig says, we're a nation of laws, so we need to adhere to the law. And when we try and go against what Sacramento does, we're always on the losing end of that argument. However, if the sheriff strongly believes that we're going to use this through citations and not necessarily prosecutions, then I would be willing to go down that road.
Well, you would still be prosecuted because a citation, is basically you're being released in lieu of arrest. You're just not getting booked into the jail, like we talked about mitigating that liability. But eventually, the citation, they're going to have to go to court just like a traffic ticket.
Oh, so it will have to go. Oh.
Eventually, but if we want to wait out the initial period until we get that ruling back from the Attorney General, if that's a concern that he may override this law, and we want to we could, stack the citations over here, and once we get an official ruling from the Attorney General, then they could move forward with the prosecution of those if there's no opposition or no issues with our ordinance.
That would be a good thought, Sheriff, and I could be supportive of that then, because I do agree with you, Supervisor Bredefield. We need to do something rather than nothing. But again, it all starts at the state, and we're superseded by the state. But if you want to attempt and then let the Attorney General make the ruling, then I'm willing to try that. Because what I don't want is our Ag Task Force, as you can see, the whole department's sitting here. Mm-hmm. They're few and far between to cover the vast array of the county. So we don't want them wasting their time. And the DA, I'm sure she's going to say she's understaffed and overworked, and so we can't get her all ready to go and then not be able to prosecute when the judge says you're superseded by state law. So it's a big much ado about nothing. However, again, we can go down this, pile them up, wait for the Attorney General's report, which he likes to weigh in on certain things, especially with Fresno County. Hopefully he'll weigh in on this, and then we can see what we do with that stack.
Yeah.
It just, again, as Supervisor Mendez said, we generally don't believe in doing Seinfeld just to do it. And if we're going to have a law, it should have some teeth behind the law, and it should be enforceable. And as I said, Supervisor Maxick, it should be defensible. So if you believe with Supervisor Bredefield that all this criteria has been met, then I'm willing to try it. But again, as Supervisor Mendez said, this is a legislative fix, not a county ordinance fix. But if this is our best attempt to help assist or help facilitate that, then I'm willing to try it and see what happens.
Yeah. I got one more quick question, County Council. Now, the city attorney has the ability to do certain things that any city attorney that the county wouldn't be able to do. Is that correct?
The city attorney can prosecute criminal actions on their own ordinance code.
Right.
They're a prosecuting attorney, like the district attorney is for the whole
Right.
county.
Yeah.
County council's offices are not. We're just the civil attorneys.
Right.
Yeah.
Chairman?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask that question, Chairman Mendez, and we have Council President Mike Carbasi. Would you mind just answering a couple questions? Because I want to make sure that we get it right. I think we're getting to that space, but one of the things that we don't want to happen is for the county to have something different or not align, because the last thing we want to do is, should the city go forward, you'll have that deterrent in the city, and now they're moving out to the rural communities even more, right? Because they're crimes of
Is a
opportunity.
great point, Councilman Chavez and Supervisor Bredfield. Again, I would applaud you for working with the city, because we definitely don't want that to happen. We don't want the city with their capability, which is different than ours, be able to enforce this, and we don't have that ability, and then it all moves out to the county. So instead of fixing the problem, we just made it worse for those of us in the rural part of America that deal with this, as they said, in the thousands of dollars.
Well, even in some of the county islands.
In the islands, you're right.
So we got
In the
Kahlua, Mayfair. So I guess my question, Council President, is does this ordinance, does this initiative mirror what the city will be considering on Thursday?
Can I provide some quick background? Is that okay
Sure,
with you?
sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Supervisor. So it's an honor to be here today to speak to the board. I agree with Supervisor Mendez that this was a problem that for years has persisted. There was another problem that for years persisted, and that was lack of a tax sharing agreement. And what you had ended up doing was you got the right people in the room. It was Supervisor Mendez, Supervisor Pacheco, and Council members Perea, Maxwell, and myself, and we solved the problem. Now, the people don't feel the pain of tax sharing as much, even though it affects our ability to build, but they feel the pain of copper wire theft. To answer your question, Supervisor, yes, it's not just the city and rural areas. In my district alone, I have had so much copper wire theft around the Herndon and West area. You have doctors' offices being hit. So that means in the summertime when this happens, you have patients waiting to get their medical visits. And this is Boswell Dermatology, for example. They got hit twice, probably $80,000 in damage. And I think it was, on the street, the fence was able to give them, like $2,000, if that, for the copper wire. So they're waiting in the heat. And then, of course, you have our insurance rates that are going up as well. Well, you've got county islands down the way. So we are very concerned about that. So when we got the right people in the room this time around, it's in the spirit of collaboration, just like when we solved the tax sharing issue. That's why we're working on this issue. And we spoke with Fresno PD as well as the Sheriff's Office. And a lot of what we put in here was feedback from the Sheriff's Department to make sure this is something that would actually be palatable and enforceable. Some really great points were brought up. Supervisor Pacheco, you brought up some good points about concerns of the DA. As for a council member, I want to make it very clear. We have an amazing district attorney in Lisa Smith-Camp. Everyone knows that. Just look at what they've done with criminal prosecutions, violent crime, especially with domestic violence. I mean, she's a bulldog when it comes to that, and that's why people know not to do that stuff in Fresno County. But this is one of those things we just can't afford to do nothing about. I do hear the concerns about the Attorney General. As a Democrat, let me tell you, if Rob Bonta wants to come to Fresno County and help us with this, they'll be open arms. But if he doesn't, I ask he gets out of the way so we can do something about this here.
Yeah.
We really can use the help of
Council
the
President,
Attorney
just
General.
along those lines, is a consideration of what is being proposed on Thursday over at City Hall, the option of the city attorney actually doing some of the prosecutions that we're referencing here? Is that also being considered?
We have every intent of doing our part and prosecuting those criminal cases.
Okay.
And again, this is in conjunction with, we're not trying to step on any toes. We have a lot of respect for our district attorney. But we also feel that we need to put up or shut up and do our part and dedicate some resources to helping you with that problem too.
I appreciate that. That's actually helpful.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks.
Go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple of comments. Granted, it's state law, and we're a county, but we are not helpless, and we are not without our ability to push forward to address things on a local level. We have the ability to enforce our own ordinance. If the district attorney doesn't have the resources to prosecute, she has the ability to deputize an attorney in the county council who can prosecute. Clearly, the city of Fresno is going to prosecute these cases. I don't think it is something that will be beneficial in the county if we're not prosecuting these cases. And I certainly don't think that we ought to be, as I said, clutching our pearls and worrying about what the Attorney General is going to do when we have people who are being impacted every single day. We must give our law enforcement every tool, whether it's doesn't have the power of a legislative fix, because we're not going to get that legislative fix. We know that. So we have to do something. And I believe this is something that is narrow enough that will not be exempted by state law. We were very careful to avoid doing that. That's why things did not get passed, 6 months ago when this was attempted. And so my feeling is we must move forward. I appreciate the feedback. There's nothing wrong with any of the feedback, but we have to take an aggressive approach. We have to take a no-nonsense approach. And these law enforcement personnel have approached me and others because they're frustrated. They want to help the farmers. They want to help the businesses. This is a tool to do that. And I would encourage Sheriff Zanoni and these folks to arrest these people, to put them in jail, to find them, to use every tool that you have to send a message that we are not going to tolerate copper wire theft, copper or metal theft any longer. And the only way that's going to happen is when people are arrested and they're fined, and it happens over and over and over again. If we wait for the state to ever do anything, they will be stealing copper wire every single day and nothing will be done in the county. And so I appreciate the comments, but we must move forward and get this accomplished.
Okay, I'm going to move to public comment on this item.
Good morning, Chairman Mendez, Supervisors. My name is Isaac Torres. I'm a detective assigned to the Sheriff's Ag Crime Task Force. Over my 30-year career, I've specialized in investigations related to ag crimes, including financial fraud and everything under the sun. As a member of the Sheriff's Ag Crime Task Force, I've been on that unit since 2013. I've investigated numerous cases, arrested many suspects. I've also instructed statewide law enforcement in basically California recycling laws and metal theft investigations. In Fresno County, I regularly inspect metal recycling businesses, and I have seen firsthand how an increase in copper prices leads to a surge in thefts, often linked to methamphetamine addiction. Copper thieves target public infrastructures, schools, utility companies, farms. Smaller law enforcement agencies often lack the resources to effectively investigate these crimes, and current laws don't prohibit the possession of any stripped copper cable, making prosecution almost nearly impossible and very difficult. In 2023 alone, copper thefts cost victims approximately $3 million in losses, with some of the farmers facing the risks of losing insurance coverage due to the repeated thefts. I commend the Board of Supervisors for addressing this issue, and I am available. If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Thank you, Isaac.
Isaac, on behalf of the farmers in the rural west side, we appreciate everything you do to help protect our farms, and when you do find it, to prosecute them to the fullest extent of the law. You have done that for our farm. I know for Supervisor Mendez's farm. We don't often get a chance to say thank you, but I thought since you're up here, I want to publicly thank you for you and everything your department does on behalf of the largest farming entity in the United States.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Good morning, Supervisors, Chairman Mendez, Ryan Jacobson, CEO of the Fresno County Farm Bureau, here to obviously testify in support of this. I will tell you, I come at this at a very interesting perspective. So as Supervisor Mendez mentioned earlier, this is not a recent crime. I've been with the Farm Bureau now 21 years. It was an issue I inherited. You go back prior to 2009, metal theft / rural crimes was a bigger issue than the water issue in the county. I had the unique opportunity to work with obviously the late Tom Berryhill up on the state side when it came to the legislative fixes that we were trying to get on the state side. Was a part of the the opposition or dealing with the opposition to these legislative fixes that we were trying to get on the statewide side of things and the difficulties with that. So all I can say is I definitely commit to helping potentially, if we need to go on the state side, to try to get this statewide, to utilizing the Farm Bureau network to try to get that through, because this is something I do believe, if our sheriff's department says it's going to help them, I do believe it's going to help them. What's been unusual with this is I've been a victim myself out in the rural areas on this particular type of crime with the metal theft. In addition to that, I've been on a sheriff's ride-along and pulled over somebody that had wire cutters, bolt cutters, as well as metal copper wire in the back of the truck. And so it's interesting to see it from all the different perspectives there. Ultimately, what it comes down to is it was mentioned that the number of individuals most likely committing most of the county's copper wire thefts are very few individuals. And if this is another opportunity to go after them with additional crime to add to the note, obviously it helps to increase the opportunity to keep those folks behind bars for a longer period there. So with that, thank you so much for letting us talk about this important topic.
Hey, Manuel.
Good morning, gentlemen, ladies, council, chairman. Thank you very much. Manuel Cunha, President East State Farmers League. I had a friend that I was talking with about 3 months, about somewhere between that time. I talked in January, and I just talked to him a couple weeks ago. He's read about all the theft in Florida, California's problem. So for humor of whatever it is, he sent me a picture. Rather than using canines, a dog, because dogs just bite, they have put in their operation, it says, "Be aware, you may not leave the facility." And what they have is a 12-foot alligator. And Joey, the alligator, takes care of the problems when they exist. There is no litigation. There's nothing. So I thought that was quite humor because it saved the state of Florida a lot of money. But they,
That's even better than Supervisor Chavez's idea of electric fences. Yeah, huh? Yeah.
No, I agree with the fence too. But Joey is definitely kept on a real starvation diet. But anyway, again, the theft is massive. What we did about 25 years ago, and I think Buddy might remember this, maybe council may have, we called all 8 counties together. We brought all the sheriffs, we brought all the police chiefs, and we brought the chair of each of the supervisors to talk about a small issue called immigration at that time. So Brian and I was just talking, and even with the chairman of the city council, with Mike, we would like to host a meeting so we can make this, take your county ordinance, your rule, to all 8 counties, which in turn now brings the state legislator to the table and the Assembly and Senate, making them realize that we're fed up. Because look at the fires that happened down south. If we have those issues with copper theft in areas where we need protection, we don't have it. I seen damage on Saturday on electrical. They couldn't steal the wire at all, but the amount of damage they did was incredible to that pump. The worst thing for farmers and maybe for the the businesses, PG&E, and I'll use their name because it's a very common name, will take 18 months to come out to put the wiring from the pole to the meter to the unit. By then, the grower has a real problem. So now the grower has to go to the air district, get a permit to operate a generator, a diesel generator. Now he has all of those problems. So it is a real problem, but we would be happy to host this and make this thing more than just Fresno County, because these crooks are in other counties. And if we can't solve it, I'm going to have Joey come to Fresno County. And I'm going to have Joey, and there's some pretty good sized ones. I saw a 15-footer, and that dude looked pretty mean. But again, he solves the problem. But I support everything you're doing. I appreciate what the sheriff has done to your entire rural crime. If it wasn't for you, our farmers, I don't know where they would go. You might need a Joey with you on a chain. I don't know what size of chain, but I think we need to do everything we can to stop this problem because it is a disaster. Appreciate both the folks coming forward with this. Supervisors really appreciate it. And I want to support Lisa, whatever we can do. But let's bring all 8 counties. Let's bring everybody here. Let's put it in the press. Okay? I mean, the press took care of the fires down in Los Angeles. So
Okay,
thank you.
Manuel.
Could I add something, Chairman? Or did you want somebody else? Okay, when you're ready.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Supervisors. I'm Brian Malacy. I'm the AT&T External Affairs Director for the Central Valley region and the Greater Sacramento region. And we're in support of this ordinance. Copper theft is a huge issue for us and our business. We have a lot of copper infrastructure throughout the state and throughout the region. We are doing our own effort in combating it. We experience outages both on the copper theft side every day. Throughout the state and throughout the region that impacts customers and businesses in this region. A lot of times also, they cut fiber thinking that they're cutting copper, and that causes even more outages to our network. So any additional support from local jurisdictions and local public safety and DA's offices, we support, and we look forward to working with the county and the city and the law enforcement on this. Thank you very much.
Okay, with that, I'm going to bring it back to the,
I think Council President Carbasi wanted to come up.
Sorry, buddy, I'm not getting the brevity award today. I do want to, first of all, offer some funding if you want to buy. What was the name of the alligator? Joey. We'll do a joint Joey for the city and county. No, I forgot to mention, I just really appreciate the entire board for considering this issue. I wanted to just clarify with that because we are going to be considering a very similar measure in lockstep with the county on Thursday when I do expect it'll pass, but you never know till you come out here and talk to your entire body. I want to thank Vice Chairman Bredefeld. I want to thank Supervisor Magsig for really helping get this way over the finish line because yes, it's been worked on for years, but the same way we did it with tax sharing, I think we're going to do this today, hopefully with copper wire theft. And I agree, criminals are lazy. And they found that the path of least resistance is to commit copper wire thefts in the city of Fresno or the county of Fresno. This is really going to go a long way of saying we are going to push back. And I felt at these meetings what really stuck out to me, and maybe you can attest to this, Vice Chairman Bredefeld, when you saw some excitement and some light in the eyes of the ag team with the sheriff's office saying, finally, we're going to get something done. And we want to really give them some teeth, and as well as our police department in Fresno. So you'll have a commitment from the city. If you pass this and we pass ours, we're going to work in lockstep to make sure this doesn't happen in our county. Thank you.
thank you. Okay, I'll bring it back. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to say, and I appreciate all the comments. It's been 15 years that this has been going on. You're right, the real legislative fix ought to come. It's not going to come. It hasn't been here. We can wait 15 more years and have more victims of this crime. We have to take the bull by the horns. We can't sit here and say, well, we've got to get a determination or ruling from some pro-criminal AG. It's not coming. It would have come within the last 15 or 20 years. We have to fight this on our own. We have resources. We have the ability to enact ordinances and make sure that it's focused so it's not exempted by state law. That was the whole purpose of this. And so I'm grateful to the attorneys that were in the room. I'm grateful to working with the city because it does have to be a strong message from the city and the county that they're not going to tolerate this. This is why we work together on this. And if the district attorney's office needs more resources for attorneys, I'll be the first one to stand up and say, bring it before our hearings for our budget. I will support more resources, just as I will for the sheriffs, just as I will for correctional officers, because number one priority for all of us here is public safety and preventing people from being victims of crime. And while this ordinance is not the panacea, it's not the fix-all, it is a tool. It is a tool that the sheriffs can use to fight this crime. And so I'm grateful for all the feedback and all of the collaboration that's taken place to get us to where we are here today. Thank you,
Why
Mr.
don't you
Chairman.
make your motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to
Yeah,
approve the
remember,
ordinance.
that's what we're here for.
Thank you very much. Forgot
And
to
I'll-
do that. Thank you.
You want to second it?
I'll second that.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Thank
And
you.
might I just say, at noon, we're going to have a press conference in the annex. I invite all of the board members, please to come speak at the press conference. I think it would be very, very important if you would do that. Thank you.
We now move to item 8.1 under the Administrative Office, adopt resolution proclaiming and ratifying a local emergency proclaimed by the Emergency Services Director on April 2nd, 2025 due to the migration of the beet leaf hopper insect.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Paul Nerland, your CAO. I'll begin this item. So the item before you today, if approved, would ratify the declaration of a local emergency that would allow for commercial growers to use neonicotinoid pesticides on an emergency basis for tomato crops to combat the beet leafhopper insect in Fresno County. Although the use of these pesticides is restricted under California Code of Regulations effective January 1st of 2024, there is an exemption in law that allows the application during a local emergency. And so under this exemption, commercial tomato growers must obtain written recommendations from a licensed pest control advisor and retain those records for at least 2 years. I know the chairman, you may have a few words on this as well, but we've also got the Ag Commissioner to speak.
Ag Commissioner got up. I was wondering if she wanted me to do this item.
Come on out, Melissa.
I'm here at the pleasure of the board.
Oh, okay.
Last year, you kind of took the item over, though, so
Oh,
I
all
was
right.
I was gonna defer to
Haven't done
you.
it yet.
Should you wish to do that? I think the CAO summed it up. Sorry, Melissa Cragen, Fresno County Ag Commissioner, and I think the CAO kind of summed up this item. But I'm here to take any questions. Should there be?
Okay, I'll just, there's actually, I know all tomato growers actually have traps. The PCAs that work them will set traps up, and they can kind of get a bug count. And I think it was about 3 weeks ago, they started showing up in small numbers. 2 weeks ago was bigger numbers, and then this last week, they were even bigger numbers. And in fact, my grandson walks fields for a PCA, and on Friday, he had a far west side trap that was very, had a pretty high count on it. So they're out there.
Yeah, and just to echo onto that, the pest is the beet leaf hopper transmits the tomato curly top virus, and the problem of that virus is it has the potential to pretty much wipe out 90% of your production. So it causes small stunted plant growth, misshapen fruit, fruit that prematurely ripens, and basically it's an unmarketable commodity at that point. A lot of this is sort of, you're sort of playing roulette and dominoes at the same time. So the roulette is, where are these populations of this insect going to increase? The virus is naturally occurring in the environment. I believe there's over 300 or so host plants. So it's prevalent in the environment. The beet leaf hopper is the only vector of that disease. So it's the only insect that can move that disease into our commercial farming. And so really the roulette is, where are these populations going to increase? And then the dominoes is, once it goes into one field and causes, a lot of damage there, builds up populations, it's just going to move field to field across the west side, causing massive amounts of damage. So really what this ordinance does is it allows our farmers to use really the only available tool to control beet leaf hopper, which is neonicotinoid pesticides. And they still have to use those pesticides in accordance with the label, and in a manner that is registered. This doesn't permit them to do anything that is outside of those requirements. Our office does inspections to enforce that folks are following those labels, and so it gives them the tool to control the pest. Unfortunately, when these regulations were passed, this particular, I think, pest and issue was not given enough weight and was not given the appropriate abilities to, there really are no alternatives is the issue.
Any questions from the board?
I just have a question in terms of the hazard to humans with this. What can you tell us about that?
I mean, I think probably Dave Lucchini can speak to that specifically, but what I can say is these regulations were actually put into place for pollinator protection. This is not a human health concern.
Okay.
Pesticides are registered first at the federal level and then at the state level to address any sort of human health issues. And as long as those pesticides are used in accordance with those labels, they are considered to have mitigated that human health risk.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and there's kind of, isn't there a bee evacuation deal? If you're going to use it, you have to make sure there's no bees close by.
Yeah, there are other regulations and whatnot for that. Tomatoes are not, they don't use pollinators to pollinate tomatoes. And so we don't have managed pollinators like hives of pollinators out there in tomato fields.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any, I'm going to ask for public comment.
Ryan Jacobson with the Fresno County Farm Bureau. Just wanted to talk in support of the resolution. Obviously, you guys have heard about the pest itself. A lot of folks don't know the importance of tomatoes to the county. It's one of our top crops. 95+% of the nation's processing tomatoes are grown here in California, which represents about a third of the world's supply. And so when you start talking losses of 10, 20, 50% with this particular pest, it's massive in the overall scheme of what goes on there. And so very supportive of it from that purpose. And obviously, Supervisor Mendez can probably speak to this, but I actually think it's going to probably be a high likely year for this particular pest just because we had these late rains that helped to accelerate that growth, as well as it's coming on the heels of 2 wet years already. So I do expect the pest pressures to be even higher than we would normally see.
Yeah, because they start in the Kalinga Hills and then they move into the valley.
Manuel Cunyanise, Farmers Link, we support the resolution, absolutely. The farmers have absolutely followed those pesticide rules and applying this, but also there's one other thing that it affects. When we lose these type of crops, we lose the workers. We lose their jobs, and those opportunities in those rural communities are absolutely important, even on this type of insect problem. But again, Sacramento, DPR, is really hurting our ability to use safe chemicals because they don't care about what happens with rural communities. They only care about Los Angeles and San Francisco. But we absolutely support you moving forward with this, and I think many other counties will be doing the same to protect those crops. But again, the jobs that are lost in the production. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Manuel. Okay, with that, I'll bring it back to the board. In fact, I'll make a motion to accept. Got a second? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. We'll move to,
We now move to item number 9 under Public Works and Planning. Find the proposed rezone of subject 44.12 acre site from existing AL-20 zone district to RR-5 zone district is consistent with the county's general plan.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is David Randall. I'm with Public Works and Planning. The proposal before you was unanimously approved by, or recommended by the Planning Commission. It's on December 12th. As a rezoning application, it comes to your board for final determination. Glad to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Yes, Supervisor Magson.
When we updated our general plan last year, we identified this area in our general plan as RR, and so that's in conformance with the application today, correct?
Correct. You passed a policy specifically for the Reno Road area, and this is part of that.
Seems simple enough to me. Thank you.
Anyone from the public wish to address the board on this item, number 9?
There it goes. Sorry, Hal Lohr, Lohr Engineering, just here for any questions that you have. Ask for your support.
did you speak on this? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're in
we
public
have public
forum.
comments open, so as soon as
Okay.
you want to close the public, we can vote.
Okay, is any more public comment on this item? Bring it back to the board.
I'll move for staff's recommendation.
Second. Okay, all in favor, is going to say an aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
We now move to item number 10, Board of Supervisor Committee reports and comments.
Who wants to go first? You okay?
I have a couple items, Mr. Chairman. I was able to attend the 87th Annual Big Hat Days in Old Town Clovis this past weekend. It was packed. I think well over 100,000 people attended over the course of 2 days, and I think it's the biggest outdoor event in the Central Valley as far as numbers of people that come out, so it was very exciting. Also, Hot Rod Fresno is having a pre-1980 car show under the Clovis Water Tower on Sunday beginning at 10 a.m. This is our last board meeting before Easter Sunday on April 20th. And, sometimes we get so busy in life, we forget to really be thankful. And as a Christian, I can tell you that the sacrifice that my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ gave on the cross allows for freedom for everyone. And so I would encourage those who are watching this right now and or are listening to take some time and just see what the true meaning of Easter is all about. But Christianity is open to all, and I serve a Lord who sacrificed everything for my benefit and the world's benefit too, and it's something that's pretty spectacular. Some of the things I want to share, some of you may be aware, over the course of the last 3 or 4 weeks, I brought Doug the dog into the office here. So several weeks ago, I became aware that our animal shelter at the county was impacted, and so I went down there. There was a story about it, and Doug was one of the 100-plus dogs there that had been there for months. And so I became attached to Doug, brought him around, and he has been adopted. Right now he's being fostered, and on the 11th he's going to be going to his forever home, so I'm very pleased about that. I want to encourage those who are watching and listening right now, if you are interested in a pet, please go down to a local animal shelter because all of them continue to be impacted. I also want to thank the Public Works Department. Yesterday I received a call from a family that lives in the Sunnyside area. Public Works went out, sprayed weeds, cleared some weeds out of the center island there in the Sunnyside area and really cleaned up that section of roadway and near Butler. Really appreciate that. And also, too, Public Works is working hard to repave many roads that cyclists use in the foothill and mountain areas. And I know that a lot of the trucks and residents who live in those areas are very much appreciative of that. So I tip my hat and want to say thank you to all those who work in the Public Works Department. You don't get enough credit, but I just want to say thank you. That's all I have.
Yeah. Yes. I visited the animal shelter the other day and appreciate the tour. I mean, they're obviously doing great work over there, just like the City of Fresno's Animal Center. One of the things I wanted to bring to the attention of the board is they have swamp coolers there at the animal shelter, which, according to staff, they're not able to lower the temperature during the summer down to 80 degrees, which apparently is what was promised when the swamp coolers were installed in the building a couple of years ago. They put screens up, it only goes as low as 85 degrees. I think they were talking about the fix to put an HVAC in there, which I think we need to do, is about $800,000. I don't know if that's the actual number or not, but I think that's something that is incumbent upon us in this budget to come up with whatever it is to fix that, because it is not something that I think we should be proud of if we have an animal shelter that we just built and we have swamp coolers in there and they're not cooling off the animals in the summer, or the staff have to work in those kinds of conditions. It seems really wrong. So I would ask the board to do that. I would ask our CAO to figure out where we could pull that money and do that as quickly as possible. Because, I mean, we all love our animals and people in our community love our animals, and it's not something that we should be having going on in an animal shelter. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, as you are aware, I want to inform the board, you and I met with the leadership of CAL FIRE, Fresno County Fire Protection, a couple of weeks ago. They are coming up with some new policies and ordinances regarding the storage of batteries that are primarily in our R2 districts. I would like to inform the board with your direction that we direct staff to work with maybe a member or two of the board that we can coordinate with the Fire Protection District in the storage of batteries, as well as the community benefit organizations that, that they are facilitating with all this new solar development coming to the west side, which will also be timely with the Westlands Water District and their mega project, which will be coming online here in the next few years.
Okay, I think since we've already worked on it, I think you can help me work on it along with the CAO staff, and it's a pretty interesting deal. I mean, you can't have mega projects and then have no fire protection and no apparatus to pay for the fire protection. So it's pretty important. I got one thing to add, and it's should have mentioned when the Ag Commission was here. There's starting to be there's some abandoned grape
Vineyards.
orchards that are being infested with rats and that are getting into the neighbors that have almonds and eating up their irrigation system. And it's becoming a problem. We need to find out, is there any way we can address abandoned fields like that? Okay, with that, we'll move to the next item, which is appointments.
Item 11, board appointments.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. I have two reappointments. One is Deborah Jansen to the Citizens Review Panel, the library sales tax, and the other one is Deborah Aikita, also to the Citizens Review Panel for library sales tax. Thank you.
I have three. To the Foster Care Standards and Oversight Committee, I would like to appoint Corey Keith to the District 5 seat, which expired on 1/6/2025, which was formerly held by Wilma Hashimoto. To the Fresno Regional Workforce Development Board, I'd like to reappoint Lenora Lacey Barnes to the Joint City-County Labor seat, which expired on 11/1/2022. And I'd like to reappoint Wyatt Meadows to the Joint City-County Private seat, which expired on 11/1/2024.
Okay, Gary?
Yeah. Two appointments of Vasily Soteropoulos to the Regional Workforce Development Board and Scott Bailey to the Law Library Board of Trustees.
Okay, I have one for the Housing Authority. Appoint Yvonne Dixon to the tenant over the age of 62 position. And I think that's a new term to 2/01/27. So with that, I'll accept the motion.
I'll second it. Yep.
Okay, all in favor, so by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
We now move to item number 12, public presentations. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons desiring to address the board on any matter not on this agenda.
And is under our jurisdiction. Did you hear what I said?
What did you say?
I said, and is in our jurisdiction.
State of California is not in your jurisdiction.
Start the clock.
Thank you very much. Good morning, gentlemen. My name is Mary Helen Lopez, and I am from Kerman, California, in the state of California, in the USA. I'm here to speak about justice. Justice is blind. In one hand, she has a scale. In the other hand, she has a sword, double-bladed. We're not talking about Republicans or Democrat or right or wrong. We are talking about justice. Justice on every citizen of the world. We should respect them. We should honor them. The least of the least, we talk about Jesus and Christ, but do we live up to it? The people that bring food to our table are the least of the least. The ones that have not the ones that have. I say this because my grandfather was a peace officer, served in World War I. My father was a peace officer, were served in World War II. Uncles and aunts too. I have a brother that was a police officer. That's where I draw the line. I don't like to be policed. I don't think anybody likes to be policed. It's almost like a word of saying pushed around. You need to be poked. I don't like to be poked. I don't think you gentlemen like to be poked. But then I'm not here to change your mind. A plantation mentality is just that, a plantation mentality. Can't change that. The thing is that our government is to come to the table to agree to disagree. You have your opinion, I have my opinion. I think everyone should be free. No one should walk the streets and be able to be taken off the street and put in jail. No one. Our schools, our colleges, our children that go to school, my grandchild. Like I said, my last name is Lopez. At any time, I can be picked up. I don't have tattoos. But if I open my mouth and I say something that is disliked to that man that sits in Washington, D.C., behind that chair and that desk that writes things, this is what I'm standing up for. I'm standing up for justice. Justice for all. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Anybody else in open session?
Good morning, Chair and Supervisors. I'm Holly Owen, 4235 North Thorn Avenue. I am in your jurisdiction. I'm in a county island. And I am here today just to speak on the matter of a commercial property that's on Shaw Avenue. This is 691 West Shaw. It's on the west side of Shaw Avenue, just across from Fay Garden Village. This property has been vacant and abandoned for a long time, and it's a very visible property on the commercial corridor of Shaw. By the definition of your code, 1532-010, it could be called a nuisance. It's any property which has become unsafe, injurious to health, indecent, offensive to the senses, or constitutes a fire hazard. Your words, not necessarily all my words. In this property, there's already been one fire. And apparently, as of last week, there was a death on the property, too. This is clearly the definition of an attractive nuisance and a harbor for the unhoused. And it's affecting property values in the surrounding area. And it is not generating, nor will generate in the future, any sales tax for the county in its current state. It's costing the county time and money and services. I went to a community meeting last week, and the county sheriffs were there talking about how they have to monitor the property, how they have to respond to calls for service, and that is costing the county opportunity costs for those sheriffs to be used in better ways and in better places. So I think it's time to bring this property to a better and higher use, even as a vacant parcel if that is needed, because you have in your code an abatement process. What is needed is for you to direct county council to research that and to have the courage to step forward and have take that action on the part of the property owner, who has so far not turned that property to a best and highest use. That concludes my comments, and I would be happy to serve on any kind of citizen committee or anything that you may decide to do. I'm supporting you in that effort. Thank you.
Work with your supervisor.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we're well aware of it and already looking into it.
Okay, thank you.
So,
And I have had a conversation with, especially with Danny, his assistant, but also with Mr. Bredfeld last week. So
Thank you.
thank you.
yes, thank you.
Okay, with that, I'll move for public comment for closed session. Well, since there's none, I'll look for a motion. County Council, Warden?
Mr. Chairman, we do not expect any announcements following closed session, so if the board chooses, it may adjourn following closed session.
Okay. So,
And Mr. or County Council, are there any announcements of recusals or anything?
We're going to have to handle that in closed session, so we
Okay.
will inform the clerk afterwards for the minutes.
Okay.
okay, does somebody want to second that motion to go into close? Okay, thank you. All in favor, so I'm saying aye.
Aye.
With that, we're in closed session. Thank you.